they had another red at the halfway point, and I ran to the infield, and that's where I met Chad Clemens. And we stood in turn 4 and put a whole thing together at Port Royal Speedway. I mean, this is what we're going to do. This is what I want to do, blah, 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 blah. Is that good? And I said, yep, sounds good. There was not even a question I asked. There was nothing I asked for. He offered, I took, we went racing.
Green flag in the air.
Hey, gang. So last week we put out the part 1 of the Paul McMahan podcast that him and me did together last week. Told you it was so long we were going to make it a 2-parter, and we are ready to go with part 2 here. Had to get home. I hadn't edited it yet, so I got that all done, and I'm going to put that out for you guys. Hope you'll enjoy part 2. If you watched part 1, thank you very much. If you have not seen part 1, it's on my archives on all my YouTube and Facebook pages, everywhere else that I'm at too. So just want to remind everybody, if you like what I'm doing for you, hit that subscribe button, hit that share button, hit that like button, and everything else can do to get my content out a little bit too. I sure appreciate it. So without further ado, let's get into part 2 of Paul McMahan. Really good things are coming for Paul McMahan very soon. Right, Paulie?
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about what happens in 2009.
2009. 2009, I literally had nothing. I was Florida came and went. No, Florida came, and I think I drove Bookie's car in 2009 in Florida. I think we were down there for Florida. Maybe.
Yeah.
Not 100% sure. Then I went back to Australia and drove for Shane Cricky and the Cricky brothers race team.
Yeah.
And while I was there,
Paul, did you do the ASCS 360 tour
yeah,
that year?
that's what I was saying. That was my ASCS year. That was Dennis Benjamin from Memphis area was putting a brand new. I had nothing. Absolutely nothing. And so when I got home, we busted ass and got ready. And he wanted to run the ASCS National Tour. That was the first year of the National Tour. And so that's what we went and did.
I remember that. And then, because I can't remember what you did for the Nationals that year. I thought you got something lined up.
I drove for, I was Bernie from Indy Race Parts, first time ever at the Knoxville Nationals. Bernie
That's
and Bookie. It was a 71 car with Bookie's motor.
And then I think you guys went to Charlotte at the end of the year too and did some other stuff too, didn't you, that year? Or was Charlotte even around then?
Charlotte was around, because Charlotte was around in 03.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I know that.
Yep.
So, to be honest, I can't remember. Like I said, I've banged my head one too many times to remember
I
everything.
understand that. You've done real well with some of my questions here. I'm trying to get to 2013 because we get that. I got that covered. But so 9, 10, and 11. I know there was a lot of Boock stuff in and out.
So in 9, I was driving the ASCS and driving Boock stuff, kind of like bouncing back and forth. And then 2010, that's when I was going to drive for Tom on the All-Stars.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to drive for Tom with the All-Stars, and we got going. We went down to Florida. It was just me and Sean Strasbaugh.
And me. That's the year I went.
Yeah, we were at Volusia, but then it was just me and Sean at East Bay by ourselves, because we didn't have a truck. Sean didn't have a license yet. You were the only one with the license.
Yeah, but we didn't go to East Bay. We went to Bubba's.
Me and Sean went to East Bay.
Oh, okay. Okay. Did you drive?
No, Sean drove. We just drove up there and parked it.
Okay.
But we raced that, and then while we were at Volusia, that's when Cody Dara got hurt. Got in his car accident. And it wasn't long after Volusia that I got the call to go drive the K Racing number 91 Great Clips car and be teammates with my buddy Joey Saldana.
Yep. And that, I want to this leads us full circle. This is the moment I've been waiting for right here, because the first ride you got with the World of Outlaws, you replaced Joey Saldana. And remember, I asked you the first couple times you talked to Joey, you said he didn't have a lot of words for you.
Yeah.
We come full circle to 2010, and Joey Saldana and you are best friends, along with Joey's wife, Shannon, and your wife, Jan, are besties also. And the relationship, isn't it funny how some of your best friendships that you have today maybe started off a little bit like, like this? Probably
Yeah,
not
well, I
the
mean,
besties.
we were racing. I mean, and Joey's,
Yeah.
and even when we were teammates, it took Joey 3 months before he talked to me. He was just that guy. It was the beginning of the season. He's all business.
Yep.
And, but, so when I got the job with Casey Kane, we had to go to Vegas. And, so me and Joey's like, come ride with me. So we get in the truck and me and Joey drove that truck and t-shirt trailer all the way across country. Probably said 3 words to each other the whole time, but drove all the way across country. Giggling, I mean, just having fun as 2 guys hanging out.
Yep.
We get to the racetrack. This goes back to Joey being all business. And I get all my Casey Kane racing gear, all my Oakley stuff, my jackets and my bags and whatnot. And I'm like, where am I? I mean, I don't know where I'm going to put all this stuff. This is my first day here. I'm not going to stuff it all in the race car trailer.
Yeah.
Well, Joey had an upper deck in his t-shirt trailer. So I'm like, hey, can I put that stuff in your trailer? Why do you want to do that? I'm like, okay. So I just left it in the racing trailer. Get done after the races. We're driving back to the hill. Did you put your stuff in there? I'm like, no, you told me not to. Why'd you do that? Okay. So, but I mean, I tell you what, I had more fun in 2010 that year than I probably had my whole life. Just the group of guys I had around me and driving up and down the road with Joey, just the 2 of us going from race to race. It was the most fun, most laid back, and probably just at the end of the night, we got done racing. We all were sponsored by Budweiser. We all had a cold beer, did whatever. Me and Joey get up the next day. I'd stay in the toter home with Joey, or sometimes I get the hotel room with the guys. And,
Yep.
Matt Hummel, Rob Beatty, and Justin Adams, we just had fun together. And then you throw in Cale and Willie, just an all-around blast.
Yep. They know how to have fun. Let's put it that way. And they know when it's time to work too. That's one thing I noticed is that they're going to put their noses down. But and I never forget that year. That's the first year I met a guy named Matt Hummel. And I wasn't quite sure about this Hummel guy, because but I've gotten to know Matt over the years, and I consider Matt one of my top 10 good buddies out there now too. And I know Justin and Rob, and I can definitely see what you mean by having fun with those guys.
I mean, you want to know how I met Matt Hummel the first time?
I do want to know.
We roll into Vegas, me and Joey. We get there, whatever day it was. All of a sudden, there's a knock on the toter home door out in the Monte Carlo parking lot. Hummel opens the door. I'd never met him. I didn't know. The only guy I knew was Bonsai was there at the time. I knew Bonsai and Justin. Yep. I didn't know the other guys. Hummel opens the door up. Hey, Joey. He goes, hey, introduced us. Paul, he introduced himself to me. Takes his sunglasses off, and he's got the biggest black eye. That's how I met Mount Hummel. I'm like, what in the hell? I mean, he's littler than I am. Yeah. And I'm like, what in the hell did this guy do? But I tell you what, me and Hummel, if Hummel was driving, I was co-piloting. And if Justin was driving, Rob was co-piloting, and me and Hummel were in the lounge of the trailer playing MLB on PlayStation. Everywhere we went.
Yep. And tell me, that 91, was that a co-partnership with Dennis Roth that year or not?
No, that was the next year.
Okay. So the 91 was a KKR car then?
Yes.
Okay. You finish out the year, I think, and then did Cody come back, and that's where we had to have the they didn't want to let you go either though. You
Yep.
guys had a lot of fun, so they did everything they could to get you basically in their stable, but they had Dennis helping with some of the finances, if I
Yes.
remember right.
So what happened was, Casey went out on his own. Because I knew I was only there for till the end of the year,
Yep.
and he went out and put a deal together with Dennis Roth, brought everything to Charlotte, North Carolina, or Mooresville, and Justin, Hummel, and Rob all came over to the '83 car with me, and it was a 1 year thing, and we went out and won several races, finished I think fourth in points, and just continued on to having a lot of fun, and then the fun stopped.
What happened to make the fun stop, Paul?
Oh, it was nothing. It was nothing. We just knew
The deal was done.
it was a 1 year deal, and Casey and Cole and Kale and everybody, they said we wish we had a spot for you, but we just don't. They were
Yep.
I think they were still running the USAC cars at the time.
Yeah.
No, Brad was just starting to come over with the 3-car sprint car team, so they just didn't have a spot for me.
Yep.
That's all it went down to. It was nothing. Nothing anybody did. They did me a favor by getting me another year out on the road.
Yeah. Exactly. So here's one thing though, you knew the end was coming. There was no funny business or backstabbing on this one.
Yeah.
So it gives you an opportunity to try to line up something for the following year. Correct?
Yeah, and that was pretty tough. And it was getting tougher to find quality rides, and it was getting tough to find rides on the Outlaws.
Yeah.
So working in my dad's shop, I don't know, doing something in his shop, and I got a phone call from a Brian Grove out of Ohio wanting to and I drove his car like a couple times here and there, maybe in '09 again for Ohio Speed Week. And he wanted to go run the All Stars, and that was the only offer I had. And I said, okay, let's go do it. So that's where we started out in 2012 with him and Tom Boock. Between the two
Yep.
of them, I was going to race 40, 50 races.
Yep. Combined. Is that how that year kind of went? Was 2012 that year was just on and off with those guys?
On and off with those guys. Me and Tom won an outlaw show at Rolling Wheels. That was night. Toolbox fell out of the trailer, and
Yep.
that's how I met Danny Massey. Just won some races with Brian Grove, and then I remember being at Knoxville Nationals. Um, I was locked in the AMA, and I remember just sitting there, just kind of relaxing before the races, and Barry Jackson walked up to me and asked me if I would be interested in driving the 51 car. He didn't know what was going to happen. He just said there was some rumblings going on with Fred and Chad, and wanted to know if I'd be interested in driving. And I said, well, yeah, I'd love to. He said, there's only about 30 or 40 races out in Pennsylvania. I was like, yeah, sounds great. And that was
And
the
you
end
were
of it.
legit when you said that, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll take it.
And that was the end of it. We never didn't hear much more. And then, I don't know, maybe September rolled around, and Barry calls me again and says, I was the Port Royal for the Tuscarora 50, whatever month that's in. He says, hey, I want you to talk to Chad. So I went to the races, and, I was driving for Tom. Tom knew all about it.
Yep.
And doing my thing. And I went over to find Barry, during the day. Chad's not here. Chad's at Braden's football game. Okay.
Yep.
So then we start racing, and I'm busy. I'm not thinking about doing something different. I'm racing, and I'm not going to go over there while Fred's there. I mean, that's
Yeah.
a code you don't do.
Yep.
And so I remember going out for the feature on Saturday night, and we broke a roll pin in the mag, so I didn't get to start the feature. So I got pushed back across the racetrack, like first caution. Like lap 1, they had a crash. So they pushed
Yep.
me back across, went up, grabbed a couple beers, walked up, and they had another red at the halfway point, and I ran to the infield. and that's where I met Chad Clemens. And we stood in turn 4 and put a whole thing together at Port Royal Speedway. I mean, he was, this is what we're going to do. This is what I want to do, blah, 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 blah. Is that good? And I said, yep, sounds good. Didn't like, there was not even a question I asked. There was nothing I asked for. He offered, I took, we went racing.
So you put together a deal with Chad Clements in the infield while his car's out racing. That's one I've never heard of. But and like you said, the code. Go ahead.
The car wasn't racing. They didn't make the show.
Oh, okay. Well, that probably helps make the deal too then. And nothing against Fred. I respect Fred and
Fred's
Chad and all those guys.
Yes.
Very much so. But like you said, sometimes the way deals go down, it's just the gentlemanly way of like doing things too. So you've probably had guys working deals behind your back at the same time too over your career. So people in the racing world get that. So you go to drive for CJB in 2013, and you guys have a lot of fun together for the next couple 2-3 years.
Yes, we definitely did. We started out, we went down to Florida, did our things, and then our 30-40 races turned into 50 or 60 races, and we were going to go out to California with the Outlaws, or the first leg of the Outlaw tour until Pennsylvania started up, and we're running well. We're doing good. We're at Chico for Mini Gold Cup, and Barry kind of just looks at me and he goes, let's just do the whole thing. And I'm like, okay. So we signed our contracts signed up to be World of Outlaw Platinum members Saturday morning of Mini Gold Cup, and then went out and won the feature that night.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And that was the first year you're with CJB. You all of a sudden you're on the Outlaw tour.
Yep. So, but go back. I started driving for CJB in September of 2012.
Yep.
And we won our third race out at Friday night of the National Open. Was going to win our second night out at Lernerville, and had a valve spring go through the valve cover, and with like 5 to go, and it was spraying oil all over the place. And I've been there for 2 races. I'm not going to just leg this thing and have it blow up. So I pulled in, and I was told to never pull in again, no matter what. You run it till it stops. I said, yes, sir. And we went on racing from there on out.
And that's weird. That's something the guys should talk about a little bit too, because, those are kind of things you don't know with each car owner. Each car owner is different that way, honestly. So, you go out there and run that thing till it literally seizes up. That might get you out of the ride also. You haven't had that discussion. You've never been in that position. So each team is kind of unique that way, I think, aren't they?
I mean, nobody wants you to run them till they, it's not going to make it. But, it dropped a cylinder, it was blowing oil. I wasn't going to keep driving it, like that. And Chad says, don't stop. And when the boss tells you don't stop, you don't stop. Now, when I drove for, Saint Michelle, if I'd have done that in Charlie Garrett would have had me fired the next morning.
Yeah.
Because it just depends on who you're driving for and what their thoughts are on these things. I know what they cost, so I would never drive one unless someone told me to go.
That's far and few between, and but that also shows you how bad a lot of people want to win, and that's
just want to win.
Absolutely. You spent 3 years with CJB. I don't know. Did you do all 3 years on the Outlaw tour? I can't even remember that anymore.
Yep. 13, 14, and 15.
And now, obviously, you guys had a lot of fun together. Got along great, I think, with Barry too, didn't you?
No, God, never had a crossword with Barry. I don't think in the 3 years I drove for him, and had the utmost respect for Barry. I mean, he's probably one of the hardest working guys in the pit area still at this age. I can guarantee he's the only guy in the race in the pit area that can build his own race cars, fix all of his own race cars, and fix anything on the race car that might be bent. He'll straighten it and make it go. Not many people in the pit area can do that. They're all just parts changers now.
That's a great way of describing that. So after 3 years with CJB, Tell me just a little bit, because I know you end up in the Destiny Motorsports number 7 in 2016, unless you're going to tell me different, but that's what I was able to come up with.
That's
How
correct.
did that transition go down there?
It was, well, my end of 15, I don't know, probably halfway through the season was not much fun. Um, they were starting a second car. CJB was, and I was not a fan of the driver that was going in the second car. Didn't think that he had much to offer our team. We've outrun him for the last 3 years. Didn't know what we were going to gain from it. But they were more all in on him, and they wanted me to adjust my thoughts to keep going, and that's just something I wasn't going to do. I wasn't going to change who I was, and they're going to ask me a question. I gave them my honest answer, and they didn't really. They wanted me to change my answer, and I wasn't going to. So I just decided it was best to move on before we became enemies.
Yeah.
And you know, still got the, like I said, got the utmost respect for Barry Jackson and Chad Clemens. Love them. They're like family to me. I mean, I've raced for a lot of people, and I can say I've had 3 owners that I could consider they took me in like family, and Chad was one of them.
Yeah, that's great. So you end up over at Destiny, the Mondax sponsored. I want to say it was number 7 the first year, and did you guys switch to number 4 the second year? Is that right?
Yeah, we started out as number 7 when they started. Barb and Rick, great people, loved sprint car racing. Just didn't have the funds to keep it going. Did the best they could. He was Bob. Rick was one of them guys that I wish I'd have. Not that I wanted to leave CJB, but wish I'd have had him 3 years before I got to him. Like, his funds were good for them other years.
Yeah.
When we got to that point, he'd been used and abused a little bit through motorsports, and depleted some of his money,
Yep.
racing money. Not that he's broke, just his racing money. He wasn't racing rich.
Yep.
And but man, the guy had more passion for sprint car racing than any owner I think I've ever driven for. I mean, just loved the sport, wanted to be a part of the sport, wanted to be competitive, just all around great people.
You do those 2 years with those guys and finish out 2018. And I still would say this guy's probably one of your best friends or better friends yet to this day. Tom Boock, it looks to me like you're back in Bookie's number 13 car for 2018. Does that sound familiar to you?
Yeah, it was. I drove for Tom at the end of 2017. I stepped out of the Destiny car around September. Just brought Parker Price Miller in. The money, a little bit of money came along with it to help them keep
Yeah.
the race team rolling. And I stepped away from that, and I was team manager for Destiny Motorsports still, but I was driving for
That's
Tom
right.
at the time,
Yeah.
and had a lot of fun. I mean, had a lot of fun. Then I was gonna do. I was out. Where was I? Oh, we went to Sean's. Sean got married. Sean Strasberg, I believe, got
Yep.
married in 17, and we're at his wedding, and Tom's like, "Let's do this," and I'm like, "Okay." And he didn't want to run everything; he just wanted to run a lot of races.
Yep.
I said, "Okay." So my buddy Rooster, Shannon Wheatley's his name. He owns a
Yep.
45 car out in Washington. He wants to race some also, and I've known Rooster since 1990.
Yeah.
Both, while we're out on the road together, and really good friends. And he's like, "Let's go race." Austin didn't want to race his son, so he's like, "Let's go race. We'll do some races together." I'm like, "Yeah, sounds great. This will work perfect." Well, so I don't know, we put the whole. I did Florida with Tom, and then I ran, I think, all the Outlaw shows somewhere in Texas or something like that. I ran all the Outlaw shows through California or something like that with Rooster. Oh, we went to even West Memphis.
Yep.
And then Tom gets this bright idea that he wants to run the whole All-Star deal now. But I already committed 2 weekends to Rooster that are all-star races. And I'm like, I'm not backing out on Rooster because I already told you this is what my plan was. And that's just me. When I give someone my word, that's all I got. So that's what I'm staying with.
Yep.
So Tom went and had somebody else drive the car for 2 nights. And oh man, we had a lot of fun that year. Whew. With me and Sean, and we had Kurt and Danny. Sean always had to babysit Kurt. I had to babysit Danny
Yep.
to keep him in line. But man, we had the most fun. Won some races. Tom ended up finishing second in car owner points. And I think if I wouldn't I kind of kicked myself in the ass a little bit. I finished fourth in driver points, and I missed 2 races. And I'm like, man, if I would have just done them two races, maybe we could have won this whole thing. But hindsight's 2020. But tell you what, that's 2018, one of the most fun years I had also.
So 2010 and 2018 are in Paul's top 3 so far that we've run to, and we're getting close to the end, so we're probably running out of options. But 2019,
don't get me
you're in.
wrong. 2013 and 14 was CJB at the time of my life with
Yep.
Pickles and Jonesy and Shane and a lot of the guys that came and worked for us at that time.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with them guys also.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got 4 out of 5 now then, but but 2019, I have you with Boock also, but I think you did a stint. It might have just been the 360 Nationals where you got back in with the Tony Stewart guys and ran the 360 Nationals. Was it just the 360 Nationals with those guys, Paul?
Just the 360 Nationals. I don't remember. Tony, I don't got hurt or couldn't do it or something. And I remember it was Tuesday. I was working at Quick Car, and Jimmy Carr called me on a Tuesday, and we were going to go race of the 360 Nationals, and they qualified on Friday. And he wanted to know if I wanted to do it, and I was like, well, let me see if I can get off work. So I told my boss, and he said I'd fire you if you didn't go. So
yeah,
I went on up to Indy and fitted. I didn't have a seat. I didn't have a uniform. All my helmet and everything else was in Pennsylvania. So I grabbed I grabbed a red line welding uniform out of my closet that I've had hanging in here. Bell Helmets gave me a new helmet, and found some shoes that I had brand new from when I drove for KKR in 2011, and just threw a little helmet bag together, went there, and Jimmy was going to pour me an insert, and I ended up just using Tony's seat with Tony's insert. And
it was close enough where you felt comfortable.
I told him I was just renting, not buying.
So you were that 2019. You were already on the working for Quick Car at the time by then.
Yeah, I've been at Quick Car since 2018.
Okay, cool. Yep. So you were making work and racing work, and obviously your guys at Quick Car were working with you a little bit to make that happen too. Then.
Yep.
2020.
Still
back with Boock again, and but then you end the year with the CJB 51. I want to say.
Yeah, so at the end of the year, that was the year COVID, everything else was going on.
It was, yes.
We were struggling a bit, and when they said I had COVID, I just had a headache, but my wife got tested. My wife has, with her battle through cancer, wasn't going to go, and so I went and got tested because that's the last thing I want to do is get my wife sick.
Yeah.
With her cancer treatments going. So I got tested and I had COVID. They said I had COVID, which I only felt like I had a hangover for about 4 or 5 days. And Justin Peck got in, subbed for me at Boock's car, and that was, when someone subs, that's when the little sketchy shit starts to happen. And I was out of a job at the end of the year, and they hired Justin Peck. No big deal. I'm still friends with Tom to this day. I still talk to him, still do football pools with him, and I think he felt a little worse than I did. I'm like, hey, it's just business. It's no big deal.
Yeah, but it's funny how you get, and not funny. It's great to me in a sense. You get back to Barry in the CJB car, and it's a car that you know the team. You're going into it. You know they've got good stuff. They know you can qualify, and you get back into the 51, and then the CJB 23 for just a short
Yeah.
stint. And I'm going
Yep.
to ask you to remind me about that one because I can't even. I'll know when you tell me, but I forgot about the 23 car.
So we went down to Charlotte. Barry called me out of the blue and just said, "Hey, we'll put a second car together you for Charlotte.
Yep.
Might do something for you next year too, but I don't know." Just Barry wanted to cut back and he'd do 30, 40 races with me again around Pennsylvania. Just take a weekend off when we want to take a weekend off and just go have fun. I'm like, yeah, sounds good. So I went to Charlotte, and the great thing was when I got to Charlotte, Barry already changed my seat bars to what they were before. So my seat sat down, didn't have to drill not a hole, and bolted my seat straight in the LC JP51. And we went out, and I just remember we were slow, super, super slow. And I Barry, they weren't at Kistler engines at the time. They were switching kind of back and forth. And I don't remember who they were with. And I just kept telling Barry, I'm like, this thing don't run. This thing don't run. So they changed motors and put another one in. I'm like, it don't run. So Barry took him to Paul Kistler's and found out exactly what I was telling him. What it was doing is what it was doing. And so then, I don't know, got done in January, maybe February. Chad calls and says, okay, we're going to do a second car for you. And I think Chad, I think everybody there, me included, didn't really like how our last in 2015 ended.
Yep.
And so I think we just got back together to do it one more time. And I remember Brent Marks was driving their car. He was going to run the All-Stars. I was going to run, just 30, 40 races, which
Yep.
with Chad, it's always 30 or 40 races. Turns into a whole season. And so we went to, where'd I go? The 23 car came out, and Brent was driving the 5. I was 23, yellow, beautiful race car. I ran 3 races. I ran 5 races in the 23 car. I ran Williams Grove, somewhere in West Virginia, and Bedford, and then 2 nights at Bristol. And then after Bristol, or before Bristol, Brent quit. I just got all my number 23 t-shirts, hats, ready to rip. And Brent quit, and they switched me over to the number 5 car.
On the
And we
All-Star
went,
deal then again, or just.
and then we went all-star racing for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Most of the rest
And
of the year.
and keep in mind here, you've got you're still working a job, trying to call it full time, down in Nashville area, and you're still making this work.
Yeah, I was doing a lot of driving back and forth, but you know, one nice thing about working with a company that's in racing, they understand what I did. And I made that clear when I went there in 2018 that I was still racing. I was a part-time employee, still
Okay.
working 40 hours a week pretty much when I
Yeah.
could.
Yeah.
But when I needed time off, they didn't worry about it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I was doing a lot of driving back and forth, but yeah, then we went all-star racing, and mine and Barry's morale went from being just having the greatest time of our lives to going, shit, we got to go to a race every weekend now.
Yeah, and I get that because here's the deal. Anybody that doesn't know Barry, 15 years ago compared to now is a totally different person. He was a real spark plug, but
Yeah,
the passion hasn't left him. The passion
yeah.
has not left the guy. So, but one thing that I know that for me getting to know him is his family is very important to him and his family time and being home.
Very much so.
So he keeps stretching this thing out another year and another year and another year, and kudos to him. It's up to him. His wife Natalie. I know Chad works with him as much as he can to get him home. So I can just see you guys both going, dang, now we got to go do this. But
Yeah.
you guys, but you continue to have fun. That's the thing
Yeah,
that mattered, right?
we had a good time. I mean, we still had fun. We won the Dean Niddle Memorial, which was the biggest paint all-star race of that season. Competitive at places, on the podium a lot. Just couldn't get the wins we needed, but we were close. And I remember at one time I was at the house and Chad calls me. It's April, May, June maybe. And Chad goes, "I want to run the Outlaws next year." I said, "Hey, bud, you got the wrong guy. I am not going outlaw racing." I
This
said,
was
"I
in
got a
that
good."
2021 year.
Yeah. And I'm like, that's you got the wrong guy. That's not me. I'm not doing the Outlaws again. Nothing against the Outlaws. I was just burnt out I was really looking forward to 30, 40 races.
Yeah.
And he's
So
like, so that's when I
tell,
knew it was going to be a 1 year thing with Chad too. But it was probably, it was probably the best way to end my full-time career was with them guys. Cause that's where my name really got prominent and dominant, was in the
yeah,
CJB car.
exactly. And it's funny that you say that because a guy that we started this story 7, 8 years old, all he wanted to do is drive race cars for a living up and down the road. And as life goes on, we live life. Things
Yeah.
change sometimes.
Well, I mean, I was what, 20, I was 51 years old. The sport was not going in the direction, not the sport, the up and coming racing the way it was going not a direction I was a fan of. You're buying rides. It's not about talent. I mean, you still gotta have talent, but it's not as much about talent as just money, the respect deal there. If I'd done some of the shit these kids do nowadays, I'd have no teeth. I'd look like a hockey player because it'd be that
Exactly.
you get punched in the mouth. So I was not like really looking forward to being gone 200 days out of a year anymore.
Yeah. So you guys roll into the Knoxville Nationals 2021, and it's a place that I was just expected Paul McMahan to be in the top 5 to 7 cars in qualifying. And you guys roll in there, and you're off to a pretty good start. And things get sideways in a hurry. Tell us a little bit about that, the lap in the A main going down the backstretch, and what happened that you may be able to remember.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only thing I can do is go by what the video is because I have no recollection of the Knoxville Nationals or about a month after it.
Okay.
Obviously I missed the bottom, I believe, off of 2. Got up and I was coming back down to the bottom, and nobody was alongside of me as I was coming across, and the 41 clipped the infield berm and shot across, clipped me, turned me around backwards. I don't know if I flipped first. I don't know. Then I got hit by somebody else, and it ruptured the fuel tank, had a big fire, and got out somehow. I don't remember.
Yeah, on your own, even. That's what's weird.
Yeah, I
Is
mean,
that right?
got out all by
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
I must have went over to the 41 and said something to him because they had video of me standing by the car. Don't know what I said.
Yeah.
If I have no clue, and then friends just tell me when I got back to the pit area, I was complaining about my wrist hurting, and they put I had a hand in my bucket, and then I was going head first into the bucket, and then I remember waking up I remember being at the hospital and listening to the guy next door to me that was he was an addict of some sort, and listening to his stories as he's telling the nurses, and they knew him by name.
Oh boy.
Don't remember. Couldn't I know Kyle Larson. I think Kyle Larson won that year just because
Um.
just because
Yeah.
of the replays, but I couldn't tell you nothing about the weekend. Drove home. Don't remember driving home. Yeah, it was a tough.
It was
It was
a
tough. It was a
tough.
tough month for me. It was couldn't
Yeah,
understand why I was so angry at times. Then I'd be crying at times. Just couldn't figure it out until I went to the doctor.
not to interrupt you here, but just quick. It's a head injury. Obviously, we've got that figured out just by your symptoms that you're talking about. But tell us a little bit about what going to the doctor was able to teach you.
Well, I was fortunate enough to. We got Vanderbilt University here, which is a medical school. A friend of mine is friends with the trainer at the Nashville Predators and the Tennessee
Okay.
Titans.
Yep.
Got me into with their doctor, which had me doing it's basically like drunk driving tests. You learn to touch your fingertips, walking heel to toe. You got to retrain to, you got to not retrain. Not that I didn't know how to do it. My coordination was off. My balance was off. Couldn't stand up, couldn't bend over and then stand back up. So they had you doing those type of things to get your brain used to it. Loud noises, like can't do loud noises. Fireworks, you know how much we love fireworks. They they hurt now. Um, Lights flashing. The fireworks or New Year's when they had the strobe lights going really messed me up. My equilibrium still to this day. Still moody, but my wife just says that's because of age. But yeah,
Yep.
just things. I mean, I don't remember all the things they had me do. I mean, I had a popsicle stick. I had to touch my nose, and they had A and B, and you had to close one eye and read them and do it the other way. And a lot of heel to toe, bouncing balls off of trampolines and throw it with one hand, catch with the other, and just trying to get everything to your motor skills back to where they need to be. And like I said, I'm I'm not completely good. I still get ringing in my ears, to this day. I still get headaches, but um, I'm I'm as good as I can be.
Absolutely. And I think you sat back there. Obviously, you tried to come back. I think a couple different times. I'm not sure, and I'm going to ask you to.
I only came back. I just came back for the. I was no matter what, I was going back to race. I was going to end on my terms,
Yeah.
and I somehow somehow I passed my concussion test with the doctors, knowing that I was not fully 100%. And I wanted to run. It was the last All-Star race at Fremont,
Okay.
and we got rain. We got rained out on Friday, and Saturday was the worst possibility for me to be in a race car. Not. It was just a rough
Track
cowboy
condition
up,
wise. Yep.
bouncing around. My head's bouncing off my headrest. Headache from hot laps on, and I ended up getting clipped, and me and a guy got just bouncing, ran into each other, and knocked the front end out, and my day was done.
Now, were you driving
Almost
with
cruising.
were you with Barry and the guys there in the
Yeah, I
CJB
was
car?
with. Well, I was in the CJB, but they were actually Barry was at Port Royal with Spencer Basin winning with the Outlaw show there.
Okay. Yep. So you
They
were with
put a
the other car
second
then.
car.
Yeah.
Yeah, they put a second car together for me so I can come finish. They didn't have to do that.
Yep.
I think they put Ian Madsen in for some races, I believe.
Okay. Yep. So you got, but here's the thing too: is you said you wanted to finish it your way, and that probably wasn't. You were finishing it your way, but not the way you wanted to finish. Does that make sense? So you got a chance.
Yeah, but
Go ahead.
I was not going to let that crash at Knoxville in me. I was going to come back, and when I went back, we were fast. I mean, we were running, but we didn't qualify good, but we were going forward through. I felt like I was in old California days. I was just cowboy up, make it happen, and I was going forward, and it just circumstances happened. So I thought I could still do it. I
Yep.
thought the blurry vision was just because I'm bouncing around and, this and
Yeah.
that. So that wasn't like that was going to be the end of it, but I was going to try and get back. And then 2022, I went and drove the Premier 21 car out in Pennsylvania. Monteith used to drive.
Yep. Yep.
So I drove it 4 times, went out there several, got rained out a lot. And that's when I realized, yeah, I can't do this. I can't
And
see.
go ahead.
So
The
I
symptoms.
couldn't
I mean,
see.
what
I
we're
can't.
telling you,
Yeah, I couldn't see I couldn't see the infield, like the guardrail on the infield very well. I could see, my outside peripheral was fine, but my left side's not. That's where I got hit, was in the back of the left side of my ear.
Okay.
So my left side's not good. Left eye's not the greatest in it, like it was. So I just after I did 4 races, and I finally, they were, at Lincoln, and I think I said I wouldn't run the big tracks yet. I didn't want to go to the
Yeah.
big tracks. I didn't want to run Williams Grove or Port Royal. And they were happy with that because they only wanted to run Lincoln anyways and BAPS.
Yep.
So I was like, yeah, that'll work. And I did 4 races, and then I just had to just say, hey, that's enough. I can't do it. I mean, I
It's
can
not
go there
working.
and make the show to run 18th, but
Yeah.
that's not me. I'm not going to drive a race car just to drive a race car.
No. No.
So
And so I keep trying to get to this. So I think you started at Chico, and in I know the 3C car meant a lot to you, getting started,
mhm.
and you got to finish that way too. Tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about that last race where it was basically you and your brother Bobby also. I think you guys pretty much called it a career on the same day. Now I might be wrong on that, but that's what I
Nope, you're
remember
correct.
anyway. And you also
Yep.
got to have go ahead.
So no, go ahead. You finish whatever you're saying. I can go on from there.
Yeah, I was gonna say you had Bobby out there, but you also had, and I might be wrong, but did Braden go out there and mud pack with you guys also on that day or not?
Now that Braden, that's a special picture I got hanging in my office. Was Braden 2000? I think it was 2000. I was in the
15.
CJB
I've got it
car.
right here right now.
15.
15. Yep, sorry.
Yeah,
My bad.
me, Bobby, and Braden were all raced together at Gold Cup.
Yes.
That was a
Okay.
pretty cool weekend.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, so what I do? So in May or something like that, Clyde Lamar passed away around Christmas time of 21.
Yep.
So 22, they were having a memorial race for him, and they asked me to come out and drive the car. So I got to drive I got to go out to Silver Dollar Speedway, which is one of the places I started my career at also, and run one more time in the Tri-C car. Didn't think I was going to come back and do it again. So I just said, I was able to thank all the fans at Chico, for everything over my career. Because where I met my wife, Jan, pretty much raised my son, Braden, and my daughter, Kylie, at the racetracks there at Silver Dollar. But I wanted to end my career where I started racing. That was at Placerville. That's where I really
Okay.
started my career, was at Placerville Speedway, because that was the only place I could run every weekend.
Yep.
And kind of just got this brainstorm up and called the Tri-C guys again, because they had this Casey Schmitz was driving their car full time, and
Okay.
he obliged to get out of the car and let me drive it one last time at Placerville Speedway. And I'll tell you what, it was a night I'll never forget. It was the coolest thing just to go there, with all my family was there. My wife, my kids, my new grandkids, my new stepdaughter, my daughter, my mom and dad, my aunts, my uncles. Joey Saldana came from Indiana. Him and Shannon came out. The Gomez's, Stephen Gomez, Darren, Ernie, just everybody. Kelly and Dave Wells flew out from Illinois, Jeff and Heidi, you know, the Hergots,
Yep,
they
from Lincoln.
flew out from
Yep.
Nebraska. And I didn't even care what I did. I mean, I wanted to race well,
Yeah.
but I didn't care what happened at the end of the night. I chose that race. I didn't choose that. I mean, the promoter wanted me to come to this race because it was called Legends Night. He thought that'd be the perfect night for me to retire, would be on Legends Night at Placerville's Legends Night.
Yep.
Well, King of the West was having a race somewhere else. So there's going to be 18 to 24 cars there. He's like, it'd be a perfect night. You can go out and get your feature in. Well, they rained out the King of the West race.
Oh, okay.
So now we got 46 cars there. And I missed the transfer spot and everything by one.
Yeah.
But it was just the coolest night. I mean, the promoters there at Placerville, I drove their car one time at Trophy Cup for them. I've known them since I was a kid, since I started racing at Placerville. They were there with Jimmy Truly. My friends Jimmy Truly that I started racing was racing with it. Racing with Greg DeCaris' son. It was just a great night, and got done. I remember getting the checkered flag and the B main, and then all the emotions started flowing through my body. The tears, and realizing that 35 years of what I've had the most passion for is over with. And just out of the blue, I was just getting ready. They got a big hill you drive out at Placerville to get off the track. And it's just as I was getting there, I decided to make a U-turn and do not a Polish victory lap, but just a one run left side to the grandstands, give everybody a thank you wave. Went to turn forward, turned around, did a wheelie. Off the track I went, and got back there. My dad was one of the first ones to the car, and I just sobbed like a little boy. But it was and then we had a cold beer, and then just the party started.
To me, Paul, you're one of the last guys that was one of the true outlaws. You had the great highs, you had the low lows, you had the stress, or the knowing in the back of your mind, hey, I'm looking for a ride. This guy's looking for my ride. I can tell what's going on. It was good and bad, all balled up into one and thrown down the road a little bit too. So you lived it, I'd say, during some of the greatest times of sprint car racing. Your thoughts?
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. It wasn't as cool as it was in the early 80s with Wolfgang, and that's one guy I wish I'd have raced with was Doug, and kind of, man, luckily became friends with Doug, and I watched the show with him, the way his career kind of went. I mean, he won a lot more races, but mine was kind of the same way. Always, nothing was ever stable enough to keep me rolling, and but managed to do it for as long as I did. So, you take the good with the bad. There was times that we was eating a lot of hot dogs and macaroni and cheese in the motorhome, but I had the full support of my wife and my two kids, and wouldn't trade it for nothing.
One thing I want to ask, and I know this is getting really long, but man, it's like this is good stuff. You ran up and down the road with your motorhome a lot with the family, and I threw the name out earlier in the show. Nobody even knows what we were talking about, but Uncle Buck. You got to just give us a quick synopsis of Uncle Buck, which was the name of your motorhome.
So Uncle Buck, I bought my first motorhome and only motorhome in 1996 when I was going outlaw racing with Dennis Roth. Thought I had to have a motorhome. That's what all the drivers have. Didn't even know if I was going to make it on the Outlaws, but I'm going to have a motorhome. Cost more than my first house. So, but to my kids, my motorhome was the place where all the kids came. Because everybody else had the motorhomes that were expensive, and they didn't want 6 kids in their motorhome, and mine was the one everybody got to come up, and someone just, I don't even know, I think it may have been Stephen Gomez might have came out with the name Uncle Buck, because in 2000, I was still driving it in 2000. Oh, I think the last time I took the Nationals was 2016. So, I mean, I
Yep.
drove it for 20 years, gas powered, not a diesel, gas powered. Thing had 200 and 300 and some odd thousand miles on it. I don't know. 2 transmissions. It just, it was just I mean, and you know what? And when I got done, I mean, the roof leaked a little bit there at the very end, but the inside, I put new carpet in it, reupholstered the
Yep.
couches, and it made it always, it always looked nice. It wasn't like duct taped together like, like an
No.
old motorhome should be. And I mean, hell, even Steve Kinzer knew who Uncle Buck was.
And I just have to. I think there was a rule when Braden and Kylie were growing up, probably be 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. Something about a rule with the AC and the generator running at certain times driving down the road.
Yeah, they would have the generator trying to go at. I didn't mind the AC. It was my kid always wanted the generator rolling, and he would have it on. He would turn it on at 5 in the morning when I just got done driving at 3,
Okay.
and the generator was right underneath the bed. So if it was running before I went to bed, it didn't mind it because you got used to the hum. But when someone hits the button and starts it up, it about jumps you out of your bed.
Yeah.
So Braden was always the one that had to start the generator, and it was gas, so it was loud.
Yeah.
So we really didn't like to run it all night long when we was at the racetrack when somebody's parked next to us and they got their own diesel generator that's at the front of the motorhome humming, and I got my gas generator back here just pounding away like a lawnmower. So
Oh.
we had a few rules. We went through a few air conditioners, drove
Yeah.
it along different places, drove it to Mount Rushmore to the top. Had to be towed down, but we made it to the top.
Good old Mount Rushmore. That's a long climb up there too.
Yes, it is.
Paul, I know that we've been here a long way. I just want to touch on one thing here before I let you go, and it's a big one. People that don't know you very well, probably don't know what an advocate for safety you are, and your training that you've had. Because I know that I remember we were at the Short Track Nationals in Little Rock one time. Somebody had a very violent crash there, and I know you ended up spending some time down there helping them extract the driver from the car. I can't remember who it was, what year it was. You've been at other crash sites too to help with those things too. Safety in our sport, to me, is no better than it's ever been today. But tell me about what we need to do or how it is that we can improve the safety as we go on too. And then I want to talk just a little bit about one other thing.
I mean, our safety, we're getting everybody, we're getting cocooned in our race cars. My personal opinion is we're adding all these bars for safety that's rigidening up our race cars. So the only thing that can take the punishment is the force has got to go somewhere, and it's going through the driver's body. And then we're rigidening up. We got all this, not heavy, but more bracings here, there, this, that, and another, more tethers, this, that, and another. But we still let you have rear arms that got holes in the back of them that are way too thin. So when you come down, they just snap off. I mean, we do things that I just don't think are, like, if you're looking to go to stop the Chase Johnson type crashes or the Kevin Swindells where you just come down. Well, we're blowing the rear arms off and the shocks off because everything that we bolt everything to is light as hell, and the frame is as rigid as hell. The seats are rigid as hell. I mean, we have no place. Yeah, we got padding and we try not to move a whole lot, but everything else is so stiff that it has no place to go. It goes through the weakest link, and the weakest link is your body.
Yeah.
How to fix it? I don't know. I don't know how to fix it. I don't pay, not that I
Yeah.
don't pay a lot of attention to the racing anymore. I just I don't know enough to what they're doing to, we did the inserts, Dave, David, the, Dave Sharpley does the inserts. I don't know how I used to sit on a basically aluminum beer can for a seat when I first
Yeah.
started racing. It was hardly anything there. Every night you're pushing the rib supports in because you blown them out on a rough racetrack. We didn't have nothing on our head. We had a bungee
Yeah.
cord. So I mean, the safeties, the Hans device, the hybrids, the helmets have come a long ways. K1 with their uniforms. I tested one in the Flames. I know they work. Just so many things have advanced, but I don't. We got to find something, and I don't know about this chism, whatever seat deal that is that moves.
Chasm. Yep.
Chasm. I don't know enough about it to say yay or nay. I mean, my opinion, just looking at it, visually and not knowing anything about it, I don't think your seat should move up and down because it's doing something with the seat belts unless the belts go with you. I think your
Yeah.
seat belts might need to be mounted to your seat, not to the bars out on the side, to keep
Yep.
you all intertwined together. So there's a lot of little things that I think we could look at. But there's no right answer. It's all trial and error, really.
All right, Paulie. Thanks again so much, dude. We're going on 2 hours, and I've still got pages of stuff to talk about. But probably be maybe my first ever 2-part podcast. I don't know.
Yeah, if
There's
you
one
want to
thing.
do it again, we can do it again. I enjoy
Yeah.
this. Just I don't get to see you much, so I like to get around and
No.
bullshit with you.
Well, and there's some things too. I get Donnie in here quite a bit too, and we talk about different things too. We don't always have to talk about you, but I enjoy the opinions and there's more stuff that I want to get out of you too. I wanted to talk about your family. All great ambassadors for the sport. Your wife is probably a warrior that like no other that I've ever met for her past that I wanted to try to cover. Braden has made his own little name in Twitter world in the racing industry, and he's very funny, humorous, kid that makes a lot of people laugh. Just your Uncle Bucks. There's so many things, and we could talk about, and it doesn't always have to be about your stuff, but um, it's just I've always enjoyed our friendship, and I appreciate you so much for coming on the show and just being flat out yourself, honest. This is how it was, and this is what happened.
I mean, I got nothing to hide anymore. I mean, I'm done. Nothing to bite me in the ass anymore.
The other thing I want to talk a little bit too more about, and maybe someday is the your company that you work for. They're a great ambassador for the sport too. Quick Car. I'm going to put it out there, and people can check it out if they want, and you can maybe throw whatever you want in real quick about that. But they're a great ambassador for the sport also.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I mean, I'll tell you what. The job at Quick Car has been an eye opener for me because I know sprint cars my whole life, and that's all I did. And to building wiring harnesses for late models and modifieds, and going to Boone for the Boone Nationals, and going to these different, seeing stock cars and pavement cars and late model racing. Eldora, the World 100. My jaw was on the ground the whole 100 laps of that main event, just watching these guys, watching Hudson O'Neal ripping the fence just like he hit, like we do with the wings on it. But
Yeah.
he's sitting 3 feet to the left, and he's got 3 feet behind him, and he's 6 inches off the fence. You got Buddy down there in the middle, poking around on the bottom, staying right there with him. I was like,
Yeah.
man, these things are badass. And then going to Boone and watching the stock cars and,
They're
everything you
what a
got
what
going
a what
there
a
is,
hidden gem, the
oh,
IMCA stock cars. I love
man,
them.
yeah,
Yep.
it's awesome. I enjoy it, and then, going to Volusia and watching the modifieds, get to hang out with Strimmy and Hoffman and them guys, and just learning and get to ask questions. And, they're not afraid to tell me because
Yeah.
they know I don't know nothing, where they're mostly, everything's hidden in a late
Yeah.
model or in a modified. I can go in and talk to these guys and ask them questions, and they give me the answers. And I'm going to the dome. I get to do the dome. Shit, that's cool as hell.
Yeah.
I mean, I get to do some cool races.
Yep.
Quickcar.com. Have at
There
it.
you go. I was waiting for you. Paulie, it's been 2 hours, dude, and I'm gonna let you go, but I'm gonna make sure that this probably is not our last visit. We're gonna get you back on. We're gonna tell some stories and have a good time. So I appreciate. I know it's late, 10:30 your time. We're doing this on Tuesday night, and we got NCAA basketball tournaments coming up. And there's probably another game on right now that I'm missing. That first one was great.
We're missing the World Baseball Classic was on tonight. It's home
Oh,
for
that's right
USA.
too. Yeah, boy, we timed that. We didn't. You know what? A lot of times there's not a good time to do it. And
No.
I would just want everybody to know this was very short notice. I called Paul about noon, 1:00 today, and said, "Hey, Paul, you want to come on my show?" And he was more than admiral for helping me out that way too. So thanks again, Paul.
Anytime, buddy. Look
All
forward
right,
to doing it again.
We will. With that, folks, that's Paul McMahan. We're gonna let him get on his way, and hope you enjoyed getting to talk to Paulie a little bit, or actually us getting to talk to Paulie. All right, everyone. So that's Paul McMahan. No filters. Paul is just a great ambassador for the sport of sprint car racing, and he always has been for, like he said, 35 years now. And it was just great hearing some of Paul's stories, the history of how his ride not jumping, but moving around from ride to ride over the years. A lot of fun stories that went with that stuff too. Appreciate you, everybody, for jumping back into part 2 of the Paul McMahan show. Like I said, it got so long. It was great. I thought I'm just going to split this thing up. So appreciate everybody for jumping back. Like I said, we will look forward to seeing you guys back here real soon. Appreciate all the support. Like I said, give me a follow, give me a like, give me a subscribe. All that stuff helps too. And we'll continue to keep getting this stuff cranked out for you guys. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great week.